Hey guys, so today we're going to talk about the holography modeling tool that I released quite a while back, but I never actually managed to make a video describing how to use the tool. And lots of people ask me all the time when they see it on GitHub, how to use it, and I say, well, just look at the commands and the controls and just get started. But obviously I understand it's a bit hard to just go off text to try and understand how the whole tool works, so I thought I'd put it in the form of a video to help you guys understand that. So basically, to start with, what does the tool do? Well, the tool is made for modeling holograms inside Gmod, like in the 3D world. So not writing code to create holograms, but doing it through more practical means, using commands, text commands, and keys in the keyboard. So I'm going to break this down to a lot of sections because there's quite a lot to cover, and I will put a bunch of timestamps where you can skip to if you already know how the tool works, or like part of the tool you can skip to another part just to save you time. Alright guys, so we're going to go through how to install the tool before we get into any of the code. Lots of people like to obviously use SVN for GitHub, but I sort of advise against that for my tool because one, I don't really update it that regularly, and two, I've got an auto updater implemented into the project, so it'll only update important files. Not all the files need to be updated all the time, so obviously that's important. So there's installation instructions on the actual README file here, which you can follow, but for the sake of it, I'm going to go through this so you guys put it in the right place. So the first thing you're going to do is download the zip, and then obviously you need to open it, and this is the important bit. So you don't want the, as I was saying earlier, you don't want the actual master, because that contains the license to README. You only actually need the tool. So if you click on the tool here in WinRAR, and then click extract, and we're going to need to put it in our Gmod folder. So you need to find your Gmod folder, Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Gmod, and then it goes into Data, Expression 2, and it's very important you put it in E2 Shared. So inside E2 Shared, and then obviously mine is here. I've already got mine placed, so obviously I'm not going to put mine here. And that will make sure that the tool's in the right place. If you don't put it in here, then obviously you'll get errors, and that could be a reason the chip doesn't work for you. If you have any problems using the tool that I don't cover in the video, then check the FAQ/debugging section. I'll put any resolutions to issues that come up while I'm developing the chip. So, but anyway, let's start going through some of the commands. Okay guys, so now we're going to go through the setup of the tool. So basically, what you need to do to get started using this tool, it's really basic to run through quickly. So obviously, when you did the installation, you would have put the holography modeling tool folder inside your E2 shared folder. So easier way to do that is if you just type holography in your search bar, then you find the entire folder. It is inside main. So if you go into holography modeling tool, into main, and this is where the main tool is, okay? So load up this, place this on the ground, and it will give you a bunch of prints. Basically, this is relating to the auto update that's inside the chip. So it will tell you if you have any scripts that are out of date, and you can automatically update them. And it'll tell you that if it's out of date. Otherwise, it'll give you a message saying current version HMT is up to date. The next thing you need to do, which is all in the instructions here, is get the slave. Now the slave is used to paste all of the code that gets created inside this chip. So the premises of this tool is that you use 3D worlds and obviously commands and whatever to model holograms instead of writing code. So you don't have to write any code with the chip. So you don't write any code. The code gets exported into this, automatically, and then this is the code that you'll save. So you'll save this, and that'll be your holo model. So I'm going to give you a little example of that, but first we need to go through commands. Okay, so now we're going to go through some of the commands and the controls that you can use for the tool. Basically, with this tool, lots of people think that it's super complex, or if you're new to Gmod or just inexperienced with wire or just like the complexity of like code and stuff, you don't really need to worry about that. But it's important that you have like a grasp of how holograms work, because otherwise you're probably going to be pretty confused when it comes to this tool. Now, saying that, this tool is really helpful for people that I don't know, one of two people I'd say this tool benefits the most, and that's if you can't code, then obviously you don't need to code anything for this. It's all done with controls and text commands. So it's pretty much essentially I tried to create this tool so that you could model holograms like you model tools. Like obviously at the moment there's no ability to use the tool to move holograms with your mouse like you can with props, but that's something that I might implement in the future. Anyway, let's go through commands. So the most important one is I, and you notice all the commands start with a hyphen. Now that's the prefix that you need to use. So -I model, and the model is whatever model you want to create. Before we go and create this, there's one thing that you need to make sure you've typed in the console. So if you try and create a model and you're on a standard Gmod server that you've never changed any variables for, you'll get an error. So the most important thing you need to do before you start is open up the console and type in wire holograms model any. Now this needs to be either 1 or 2. If this is left at 0, it means you can't have any custom models. So all holograms are just going to be like a plain cube. That'll throw errors. It won't work for this tool. So make sure this is 1 or 2. 2 is for custom holograms that the server doesn't have, and normal holograms. And holo model any 1 is only hologram. There's only models that the server has. So make sure that's 1 or 2. So we'll go through the first command is -I. So say I wanted to create a block, 12 by 12 block, -I, paste the model, enter, and that's created our first hologram. So next is delete. Obviously it does what it says. So if we were to create another model quickly, and I'll just move this up for the sake so you can see, and I do delete on the currently selected hologram, then that deletes it. Next one is inc, which means increment. So there's 3 main functions for being able to manipulate the holograms that we'll use, and the first one is the ability to move the hologram. So you can go side to side, go forwards to backwards, you can go up and down just like you can with props. And those are all controlled through these controls. So you can have a read here. I'm using numpad at the moment to control them, just because I figure it's the easiest way and it's out of the way of all the normal controls. So the first mode that the chipset do is the move mode, so the ability to move the hologram. The second one is scale, so the ability to make the hologram bigger or smaller, like you can just in code. So if we press numpad 2 to go into that mode, you can see down the bottom that the current mode is set to scale, and we can use the same controls to scale a hologram just like we would in code. Obviously this is done a lot faster just because we're doing it in the 3D world. So we can scale it like that, we can go up and down, whatever vectors you need to affect. And obviously the last mode of transformation is going to be angling. So if we press numpad 3, we set the mode to angle, and then we can do the same using the same numpads we used before, 8, 5, 4, 6, and obviously the minus and plus key on the numpad. We can angle the hologram. Alright, so that covers the basis of how to transform holograms. Before we go through, these are the text versions of what we just did, all of this ability to move, scale, and angle. We're going to go through the E key, this is just one of the most important features of the tool, I feel like. So just to cover E quickly, E is the selection key. So if you create another blank hologram here, and we have more than one hologram, you press E on whatever hologram we're looking at, and it will select that hologram. Obviously, this is really helpful when you've got a lot of holograms you're working on at once. We're just going to run through a lot of these commands quickly because loads of them are really self-explanatory, and once you know the basics that I'm sort of teaching you, and maybe some of the more advanced ones, I think you'll be fine. Just get into grips with the commands. So I'm not going to cover move, that's pretty self-explanatory. This is local coordinates. Reset resets it to the position to the middle of the chip where the hologram is spawned. Scale resets to the scale when it was spawned. Doubles the scale, half the scale. Now these two you don't really want to get mixed up. So this is the same as Holo scale units if you ever use code. And if you haven't, basically this is the length of the hologram in a vector in XYZ. So if you wanted to make this this block, which is currently I think it spawns as 12 by 12 by 12, and if you wanted to make this 24 by 24 by 24, then you do that, and that's obviously double. That's double in size. Whereas scale M is the multiple, which is the same as Holo scale. So we could do scale M 1 by 1 by 1, which is the standard scale, which we just return it to the normal size that we started with. Angle, pitch, yaw and roll, angle resets it to the standard angle. Color RGB is obviously red, green, and blue, which is just the color vector. Alpha is transparency, followed by the number, so that's between 0 and 255. So alpha 0 is invisible, and alpha 255 is full color. Somewhere in the middle is transparent. Next we have the material. So if you wanted to material your holo like in sort of like the post-processing stage, I guess you could call it, rather than doing it after you've exported the chip and finished the project. So you go to your materials tool, you can choose a material, so YTP metal underscore 5C, and you do like that, and that will change the material of your holo. Pretty self-explanatory. So mirror is the exact same as PA. Basically it works in the same way as PA. So if we were to move one of the holograms to the side, and then it works in the sense of the center of the plane is just like PA is in the middle of the chip here, and then the hit normal, which you'd use in PA to choose the direction of which it mirrors, that is what we're going to be typing. So if we were to do mirror forwards, that's actually the plane that we're currently on. So that wouldn't move because we're already in the middle. But if we were to do mirror right, then you see this is the plane in which it goes right. I use like right, forward, and up just because it saves people, instead of using X, Y, and Z, people always don't know, because it's based on the orientation of the chip. So if we move this across, and then we can do mirror forwards, that's the forward direction. And obviously we can also do up and down, or just up. So mirror up mirrors it up, and this works in the same way as PA does. So it's not, it won't only work from like one direction. So say if the holo was below, it works if it's above too. You do mirror, I can't spell, mirror up, and it will mirror it down. Okay, so those are like some of the most important commands that will really help you like speed up creation. Copy and paste also really help. So you can copy anything from model, position, scale, angle, color, material, and alpha. So say we created a new hologram, let's just wipe some of these up. So let's create a new hologram with this model. Let's move it to the sides. and let's copy the model. Now let's make a new blank hologram, and let's paste the model. And that will obviously just paste the model, and you can paste and copy any of the following, and it works in the same way as I just explained there. Dupe is basically just duplicates it in the current position. So we have this one that's selected on the left here. If we just type dupe, it creates another one exactly inside it. So obviously it's helpful if you were like, you wanted to spread some things out and you were sort of had a like a pattern, then obviously you could just dupe and then move it across, dupe, move across. It saves time in creating it and then moving it to the position and then moving it across, you know, it saves time. Okay, next we have basically the actual the last commands that will finalize your project. So save is basically how you save the project file. Now all the project's files are stored in a current form, custom format. You don't have to worry about that. So the only thing you have to do, whenever you want to save it and load it, if you want to stop working, you don't have to export something in one session. So you can always just save and load it back up. So if you want to save whatever this creation is, I have no clue. Let's just save it as Holo test. Project saved as holotest.txt. Alright, and then if we wanted to load this, then we do load holotest, and it'll say you will lose unsaved work. Are you sure you want to continue? Yes. Deleted it because it was already open, and it loaded our new project, which was the one we just saved. And obviously this will work whenever you shut down Gmod, whatever. It saves it into a file. Don't have to worry about any of that. As long as you put the folder in the right place, then everything will be okay. Export is obviously how we export all of the code that gets created by this chip onto the slave that I talked about earlier. So if this is our finished creation, then we would just have to do, and we've got the slave spawned, all we have to do is export, and then this is what the chip's going to be called. So we could just call it holotest as well, doesn't matter, whatever you want. And we've just created our first model. So we can now save this, and inside here is all of the created code you don't have to worry about. So it's got procedural spawning, so you don't have to worry about having too many holograms unless obviously you hit a holo limit. And it's got a few variables you can change, like the scale. If you want to make this double size, just scale it twice. And obviously the parent, at the moment it's parented to the entity, as you can see. You can change that to whatever you want. And spawn index is whatever you want it to start. So if you wanted to add some extra holograms to this, but you already had, like you wanted the index to be like 0, and obviously this starts at 0, or you could just change this to 10, and then you can just create your holograms and there won't be any conflictions. So the main other things we're going to cover are going to be conversion of your other holograms into the project format. So if you're worried that you've got projects you're working on but you really want to work on it using this tool, then that's what we're going to cover next. Alright, so we're going to look at how to convert a old hologram file you may have to the project format. So say you want to edit it in the tool that we just looked at using all the features that I just showed you. Obviously if you just have a normal hologram file, such as this one, which is just, you know, hard written code, say when we just convert it but we don't have a project, well, we can convert this to the project file so that we can use it inside the tool. This, for example, was a prop to holo thing I made about a year ago, which is for the back of a tank or something for someone. And we're going to convert this using the converter. So if we go in here, it will show us that we need to open up the documentation to look at how to convert. If you're not familiar with how to convert the files, there's a bit of code that you need to add. So we go to the documentation, converter, and then we go to convert example, and it will show you exactly which pieces of code you need to use. So this is an example. Obviously it's got some holograms in here, that we're not actually using. This is just an example. So we need to copy the persist, and if you don't copy this, you're going to get a problem. It won't work, so make sure you do this exactly how I'm doing it. So this is a code of this hologram that we're trying to convert. So we need to add this persist line. We also need to add these two lines up here, so 11 and 12, inside the if first, so we can just throw them in the top here. And finally, it says we need to copy this if statement. So we take this whole if statement, throw it at the bottom, make sure it's not inside any statements, and that's all we need to do. It's really simple. So now we can just open up the converter again and check some variables. So whatever you want to call it, I'm going to call it box stack because that's what it is. And the conversion interval is basically how fast you want it to convert. Obviously for bigger projects you might want to up this a bit, but obviously there's a high chance of packet loss if you go too high, so just be careful. So we're gonna place this tool first, and then it says please spawn the updated Holo E2, which we just updated with new lines we need to convert. We'll place this back down, and it's important that you place this first so that the this is like potentially a slave, so it can connect to it properly. So we place that, and then all we have to do is type hyphen convert, press enter, and it says, I've already done it previously, so it says, you sure you want to overwrite it? I'm going to say yes, but for you, you probably won't have this, it's your first time. And it starts converting, and it says, when it's done, it'll say, you can now load the converted project with the tool using load box stack. Oh, let's just copy that, just to save us some time. So now we can go back into our tool, spawn this once again. And if you, there's a function I've added right now which is called hyphen projects, and this will show you all of the projects that you have inside the tool. So obviously we've just created this new one we've just converted, it's called boxstack.txt, and we can load this the same way we load any other project. So if you ever forget the name just of any project, just type hyphen projects, so we can load that. Let's try load. There we go. Alright, sometimes it doesn't work when you do .txt, so it's better to leave the .txt out because it'll add it automatically. So here it is. This is the converted hologram file that we just had here, which is just plain holograms converted into our project format, and now we can do the same thing that we do with any of the projects that we have. Like I just showed you with all the commands, you could move these around, you can make things bigger, so say that I thought this box was too big, I could do scale 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. Okay, that's actually fine, yeah, I forgot it's scale M, isn't it? So scale M, 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, like this. I could half that again, whatever I need to do, I could then move that down and across. Say if I wanted to just edit it, and then we could save this, just do /save because obviously we've already got the name. Save this box stack, and then we could load this just to show you that it is saved again. We're going to overwrite it, and we've just loaded it. So basically that is the premises of the tool. If you have any problems with anything or any questions, just leave a comment or go to the GitHub, which will be in the link in the description, to leave a like an issue or anything. But yeah, this tool is there's still a lot of things I'd like to do to it. Obviously there's I want to use mouse control, which I'll add probably in the future, and also the ability to merge like multiple Holo projects. I'll show you a quick project I did before. Trash Drone, I think it's called. Okay, so this is for a drone project I was making, I was still working on, I guess. I don't play Gmod as much, so I don't really get time to. But anyway, this is the feet for a drone, and I took these and I added them to a project that I'm working on at the moment using the converter. And all of these holograms that you can see here, I made using the tool. And then I also propped a hollowed and converted them, and I put these legs on. So you'll see the legs load in a second. This is just a little drone project that I'm working on. So yeah, that's basically it. If you have any questions, let me know. And obviously there's a lot more to come with this tool. I was just thought I'd make a video on it because it wasn't, just seemed like a waste just sitting there. Like I wanted to release it, and some people might find it helpful. Maybe it's too complicated for you, who knows? But yeah, hope you get to create something cool with this, and if you do, then let me know.